it seems like every day there's bad news for Elon Musk. Does he really now have no choice but to take it private because the conversations around him are so negative?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he certainly wants to do that. I think he has no choice but to put his legal ducks in a row, which is what he seems more focused on than actually taking it private at the moment. There's a tremendous backpedaling underway. The thing about Tesla that I think is worth keeping in mind is that it is such a unique business situation, and investors have essentially been betting on this one person's vision all along. So even though I think he's a little bit irrational and unpredictable and certainly untraditional in his approach, you know, it's kind of buyer beware if you own Tesla stock. So I don't really know for sure. I certainly couldn't say whether I think in reality Tesla will go private. I can see the reasons why he would want it to.
All right. Do you think he'd be able to raise the money? Is there enough appetite for this company and this kind of frontier technology, maybe from sovereign wealth funds or elsewhere?
I would say the answer to that is probably yes. The question, of course, is valuation. And one of the key interesting questions in the whole deal is his idea, Musk's idea, that many of the shareholders would remain as shareholders in a newly private company, which is an appealing concept, but, you know, given such large holdings from institutions and mutual funds, et cetera, you know, whether or not those institutions, Fidelity and others, could legally be able to hold on to those shares and whether they would want to is really an open question. So it's structurally very complicated. And one has to ask oneself, which clearly the board has been asking, why does this guy feel he has to tweet out everything he thinks, you know, every 5 seconds? You know, it's kind of like another person we can think of.
David, you wrote the definitive book on Facebook. And one of the magic things in your book is the board debate with a young kid out of Harvard. The board structure of Facebook, that soap opera you went through, was extraordinary. What do you assume the board will do going forward? What is the board's plan as they deal with this student from SpaceX, whatever you want to call him?
Well, clearly they had no plan when this whole thing started because they didn't know squat about this. And, you know, Tom, it's great. Thank you for your comments about the book. And it's great to mention Facebook in this regard because I was thinking about it as I was preparing this morning. You know, the thing that really makes these two companies so similar is how essentially powerless the board seems to be and how clueless the board seems to be. I think that's been one of the real stories in the Facebook case in the last, 9 months, for example. The board really is exercising no oversight by any evidence at Facebook. And I think at Tesla, where Musk does not have absolute total voting control as Zuckerberg does, the board is more involved, but the board is so in Musk's pocket, given its set of relationships with him. You know, in a way, it's like Silicon Valley, a kind of irresponsibility is manifested in both of these companies in the same way. Or you could look at it as the deference to a visionary at all costs.
Okay, but David, this is the heart of the matter, and this is all going to be decided in the next few days. Selected members of the board aren't from Silicon Valley. What will you presume someone like Mr. Murdoch, young Murdoch, James Murdoch, what do you presume he will do in the next coming days? Does he have to stick this out, or does he say to Mr. Musk, see ya?
Oh, I can't believe if he resigned, that would be pretty dramatic. I would say he's, the reports today, I think the Times reports they're desperately trying to get him to stop tweeting. I mean, what they're all doing right now is trying to reduce their own legal liability. I guess if they thought this situation had spun so completely out of control that the legal liability was unacceptable, a new member of the board like Murdoch might conceivably say, I don't want to be part of this. I didn't know I signed up for such a horror show.
What are the lawyers and the consultants to the board going to say to the board?
These are such great questions because it's happening in such speed that many of the advisors and consultants don't even know that they're advisors and consultants at the time that they're announced. So I think they're going to say, wait, could we have a meeting is the first thing they're going to say.